Hello, Laverne here, and thank you for joining me. This video is a fourth installment in a series dealing with Revelation 10. Now, I thought I was finished with the last video, but I've recently come across a passage, some information that I believe is extremely important to understanding Revelation 10. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand Revelation 10, for it pertains to the church in the end hours of the end days, and that is the time we are living in today. Now, if you were to do a Google search and just simply try to find the different commentaries, check into them, the commentaries on Revelation 10, what you will find is they are pretty much all the same. They either tell us that the one talked about in Revelation 10 is either Jesus Christ himself or one of the high-ranking angels, possibly Michael. And they tell us that it is actually, Revelation 10, it is showing us that there is hope and peace amongst the other chapters of Revelation that depict a pretty horrible time and dire warnings. But I tell you, this could not be further from the truth. And this is why it's so important to actually understand the mysteries found in Revelation 10, for it is nothing like what these other people are preaching. Revelation 10 is probably giving us one of the strongest messages that the church in the end days will be, for the most part, an apostate church. That it will be one of corruption, false teachers, false prophets, and that many people are going to be led astray. Now, I talked over a year ago in a video, and in one or two since then, that in Revelation 11, the two witnesses are wearing burlap because they are in mourning and in deep sorrow over the condition of the church. And in Revelation 10, we actually see this confirmed. It leads into the two witnesses and why they are wearing the burlap and why they are persecuted themselves. Now, I'm going to read from Ezekiel 2 and as well chapter 3, beginning with Ezekiel 2, verse 6. Son of man, do not fear them or their words. Don't be afraid, even though their threats surround you like nettles and briars and stinging scorpions. Do not be dismayed by their dark scowls, even though they are rebels. You must give them my messages, whether they listen or not. But they won't listen, for they are completely rebellious. Son of man, listen to what I say to you. Do not join them in their rebellion. Open your mouth and eat what I give you. Then I looked and saw a hand reaching out to me. It held a scroll which he unrolled, and I saw that both sides were covered with funeral songs, words of sorrow, and pronouncements of doom. The voice said to me, Son of man, eat what I am giving you. Eat this scroll. Then go and give its message to the people of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. Fill your stomach with this, he said. And when I ate it, it tasted as sweet as honey in my mouth. Now, if you go back to Revelation 10, you'll see that very similar description is given when John eats the scroll that is given to him. It also tastes like honey, sweet as honey in the mouth. But we know from Ezekiel that that scroll is one of funeral songs and sorrow and pronouncements of doom. And it's described the exact same way. Also, I talked about in the other videos how wickedness is described the same way, that it tastes sweet in the mouth and turns sour in the stomach. And so the scroll that John is eating, and I also talked about in the last video of a passage in Enoch where it talks about a scroll and the sins of man being written on the scroll from both the sea and the land. And how that we see this angel standing with 1 foot in the sea and 1 foot in the land. So this passage, Revelation 10, is talking about doom. It's talking about funeral songs. It's talking about the sins of man, both on the sea and in the land. This is not one of peace and giving us showing us a period of light, that there is good things to come, such as is explained by other commentaries. This passage is all about doom and gloom and pronouncement of a terrible time to come. It is talking about sorrow and funeral songs. And this is why in Revelation 11 we see the two witnesses wearing the burlap. And we see them persecuted just as Ezekiel was warned that he would be persecuted. We need to understand that when it comes to discovering the mysteries of Revelation, the book of Revelation, that the answers and the clues are found all throughout Scripture. And when we understand this, and when we discard the other commentaries that are simply done out of imagination and people reading between the lines and putting in their own thoughts, because that's all it has come down to in the past, what we see is that this passage is one of the greatest warnings and the dire warnings that is given to us about the condition of the church in the end days. And the reason the mysteries of the book of Revelation are being revealed to us today is because we are so close to that time. This is not a time for us to rejoice about a revival of the church, because that's an absolute lie. That is not happening today, and it will not happen. We need to recognize that there are two churches. The majority in the main church is an apostate church. We need to also recognize that we need to stop conforming to the teachings of man that have come about over the latest centuries. And we need to get back to the time of the teachings of the early church, pre-Constantine, to the time prior to when paganism was married up to Christianity. We need to get back to the teachings of the apostles before the church became corrupt. I cannot stress this enough. We are coming to the end days, and there are so many people who are today led astray. They have fallen into churches that are teaching false doctrine, false teachings about salvation and how we are to live our lives. All right, as always, I look forward to messages and comments. Till next time, peace and blessings.